Today is June 17th, the feast of St. Gregory Barbadici, Bishop and Confessor. The readings will come from Ecclesiasticus 44, 16 to 27, and right into 45, 1 to 20, and also Matthew 25, 14 to 23. So let's begin. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. From the book of Ecclesiasticus. Enoch pleased God and was translated into paradise, that he may give repentance to the nations. Noah was found perfect, just, and in the time of wrath he was made a reconciliation. Therefore was there a remnant left to the earth when the flood came. The covenants of the world were made with him, that all flesh should no more be destroyed with the flood. Abraham was the great father of a multitude of nations, and there was not found the like to him in glory, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. In his flesh he established the covenant, and in temptation he was found faithful. Therefore, by an oath he gave him glory in his posterity, that he should increase as the dust of the earth, and that he would exalt his seed as the stars, and they should inherit from sea to sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. And he did in like manner with Isaac, for the sake of Abraham his father. The Lord gave him the blessing of all nations, and confirmed his covenant upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessings, and gave him an inheritance, and divided him his portion in 12 tribes. And he preserved for him men of mercy, that found grace in the eyes of all flesh. Moses was beloved of God and men, whose memory is in benediction. He made him like the saints in glory, and magnified him in the fear of his enemies, and with his words he made prodigies to cease. He glorified him in the sight of kings, and gave him commandments in the sight of his people, and showed him his glory. He sanctified him in his faith and meekness, and chose him out of all flesh. For he heard him and his voice, and brought him into a cloud, and he gave him commandments before his face, and a law of life and instruction, that he might teach Jacob his covenant, and Israel his judgments. He exalted Aaron his brother, and like to himself of the tribe of Levi. He made an everlasting covenant with him, and gave him the priesthood of the nation, and made him blessed in glory. And he girded him about with a glorious girdle, and clothed him with a robe, and crowned him with majestic attire. He put upon him a garment to the feet, and breeches, and an ephod. And he compassed him with many little bells of gold all round about, that as he went there might be a sound, and a noise made, that might be heard in the temple, for a memorial to the children of his people. He gave him a holy robe of gold and blue and purple, a woven work of a wise man, endued with judgment and truth. Of twisted scarlet, the work of an artist, with precious stones cut and set in gold, engraven by the work of a lapidary, for a memorial, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And a crown of gold upon his mitre, wherein was engraved holiness. an ornament of honor, a work of power, and delightful to the eyes for its beauty. Before him there were none so beautiful, even from the beginning. No stranger was ever clothed with them, but only his children alone, and his grandchildren forever. His sacrifices were consumed with fire every day. Moses filled his hands and anointed him with holy oil. This was made to him for an everlasting testament, and to his seed as the days of heaven, to execute the office of the priesthood, and to have praise, and to glorify his people in his name. He chose him out of all men living to offer sacrifice to God, incense and a good savor, for a memorial to make reconciliation for his people. Deo gratias. Continuation of the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Gloria tibi, Domine. For even as a man going into a far country called his servants and delivered to them his goods, and to one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every one according to his proper ability. And immediately he took his journey. And he that had received the 5 talents went his way, and traded with the same, and gained other 5. And in like manner he that had received the 2 gained other 2. But he that had received the 1, going his way, digged into the earth, and hid his Lord's money. But after a long time the Lord of those servants came and reckoned with them. And he that had received the 5 talents, coming, brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou didst deliver to me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained other 5 over and above. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Because thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will place thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And he also that had received the 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliveredst 2 talents to me. Behold, I have gained other 2. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Because thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will place thee over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Laus tibi, Christe.